That difference of opinion is one without insight. It is one without knowledge and one without taking a look fully at what is the background of it, understanding that. I find quite often in my response, whether it's on social media, it's putting the fact there. And you can't dispute the facts. If it's about a debate, if it's about just a discussion, again, it goes back to that listening and then moving forward of, okay, how can we deal with this and work with this differently? Or sometimes the answer is a no, and the difference of opinion has to exist. It's like the decisions that we end up making are sometimes a fallout of what has been made at different levels of government. Sometimes in our decisions, it's like we have no decision because that's the direction that we have to follow, because whether it's provincial policy or federal policy, we're limited to the impact of what we have as municipal councillors. It's one that we need to know our boundaries, and we need to be able to explain that. And the stats are that 5% of the population even understand what municipal politics is about, and even of that 5%, it is like 2% of that 5% who has even a true focus into what's happening within our community.
Another episode of Maleeha Shahid Speaks. This is an amazing episode because this is someone as a guest who I've invited who's inspired me for a number of years. She's very, very accomplished, and when you go to someone to take advice and they set you in a right spot, this is someone I am very proud to say that I've always gone and said, you know what, this is what the issue is. And she's always given me the tools to figure it out. And that's where I love people within our community who actually really don't tell you yes, no, or give their opinion, but give you the tools in your hands or in your mind to dissect a situation, figure it out. And today's guest is Mayor Roy.
Hello. Thanks very much for having me on.
All right. That's fantastic. So it's Mayor Elizabeth Roy. I don't know why I call her Mayor Roy, so you could refer her as you feel. However, Mayor Roy, welcome to the show, and I am truly honored, and thank you so much for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. And, always there to help you out.
't you so much. So the one thing that you always hear from me is how I want to bring in people through this podcast, show people of who do I meet, talk, and get inspired by daily, monthly, weekly, yearly, and I bring them all and we talk about life. And today's topic is just having a chat with Mayor Elizabeth Roy, but also just talking about your journey. Mm-hmm. You are one of the oldest or the most veteran local politician in Durham region.
Today in Whitby Council. I would say that the regional council, there are others that have been on council longer than I, but for myself personally, I started in 1997, and now we're looking at 2027 just around the corner, and I've been a school trustee, the West Ward councillor, regional councillor, and now mayor.
Amazing. Mayor Roy, you have, you're a mom. Mm-hmm. You're a grandma, and you talk about wonderful stories about your grandchildren. You've seen the beauty of life, the fragility of it in healthcare, in local politics, in public life, school board trustee, and so on and so forth. You have served as a medical radiation therapist in cancer care.
Yep.
So you've seen it all.
Yep.
Now tell me something. What is the difference between one or the other? The public life and the care that you've given for many years?
So the difference with the care that you give through healthcare, and one that dealing with cancer patients is in many cases you're dealing with end of life. But the commonality between both being a politician and a public figure and having worked with patients in that, it's about people. And it's about people, and it's about how they feel, but it's also about listening. And I say this often. It's like we were given 2 ears versus 1 mouth, and we should use those ears more than we use our mouth. And even with your podcast and how you're talking about people's stories, and everybody has a story, whether that is the patient who walked in the door at the cancer center or whether it's the resident who gives a call. They all have a story and they all have a reason. And in some cases, it's like, and just recently I had a woman call me, text me, send an email, and she's like, I'm angry at you, and left me a very nasty email and nasty voicemail. And I called her right away, and she did start yelling at me. And within her story, she's like, I'm angry at you. And I'm like, okay, you're angry at me. You need to tell me why. Like, let's just bring this down to a place where we need to have a conversation. Now, if you put that into perspective of the person who walks in, and I shared this story just recently as well, too. I had this gentleman walk in for radiation treatment because I'm a radiation therapist. And it was after a family day weekend. And I'm like, how are you? Fine. And it's like, okay, so what's taking place? What's happening here? And I go, how was your family day weekend? I have no family. So it's recognizing the people's emotions and the why, but taking that moment just to listen and to help them navigate as to what is taking place, but also understanding why a person is in a position that they are. Very similar to, we had a gentleman who used to come into the office at town hall, and he would come around the same time each day for a few weeks, and it was just after 11, very frustrated about the fact that our pool was closed. And then it came to fruition that his adult son had autism. The pool that he was accustomed to was the pool that was closed, not the pool that he was going to. So his frustration is what he was dealing with day to day. And, sometimes people just don't know how to channel frustration, and you just have to listen to where their frustration is coming from and working with them.
Absolutely. And channeling frustration, I think I paint for that reason, right? I paint and I write for that reason, because you have to channel your daily indifference, frustration, or just challenges through some way or form, rather than putting it out there and someone be on the receiver end.
Yeah.
Right? The world has changed from the time that I started my political career in 2018 versus now. There are too many highs and lows, and they're not monthly or weekly, they're daily. Just today, I was in a parking lot and someone zoomed right beside me when I didn't even have a stop sign. Now, I could have gone angry. I'm like, you know what, Maleeha, it's okay. You're safe. You're fine. It's all good. Here's what my question is. Being a mayor, you deal with everything. Before it comes to counselors or even staff, sometimes people find that you've opened those channels for people to come to you, right? So what is it that you do? That I'm sure you're frustrated too. I'm sure you want to vent out. What is it that you do in order to cope up with your day?
So, I have this, and I've shared this with you as well too. It's the 24-hour rule. And, but that in each situation you have to assess, is it now or can this wait? But it's also looking at, what is our actual reaction to it. But also knowing that things aren't personal, and it's not against me necessarily. It's against the system. It's against what we are all trying to navigate through, but not taking it with you. Working 34 years in healthcare, there were times and there were days, and there's still patients that to this day that resonate with me, and I keep them close to my heart and close to myself as a whole. And I have a story. There's a pillow in my office, and I don't know if it's the pillow of a heart. The young lady's name was Jill, and Jill was a part of our station gallery. And with the story that I actually treated her as a patient. and she was a young lady, and our worlds collided in many different ways, from just community events to being a patient, but also to being a mom. And she passed away, and I was unpacking a box because I had moved at the time. I was unpacking a box, and within the box was this pillow that Jill had given to me. And we ended up, that day, I ended up getting a message, she passed away. And so the pillow reflects a lot to me, and it reflects that, life is precious, and everything that we do, that we just need to understand that we need, again, I'm going to go back to, we need to listen more than we need to speak. And for yourselves and the well-being of oneself, it's also knowing that you have to do an evaluation of yourself as well too. And we don't do that often enough. As a healthcare provider, I don't practice what I preach. But there are times you talked about it. It's my kids and it's my grandkids that make me reflect on, I want to be there. I want to be there as I get older and as they get older. I want to be able to be active with them. I want to be that grandmother that's down on the floor crawling around with them as well too, but also being able to throw that baseball or kick that soccer ball with them as well. And just knowing that I also, from the mind, because we need to take care of our mental health first and foremost, because the mental health helps to maintain what's happening physically within your body as well too. Do I work out? Not as much as I should. I wish I did more, and but it is being aware of what is going on in your life, and your body will tell you first as well too.
That's true. It tells me often. That's what it is. I've seen your leadership. I've worked with you for now almost 8 years. And I can tell you that when I started knowing you, I kept my distance. And we all know that. But it is through your actions what I saw was something that inspired me. And what inspired me was that you always told me to stay positive. When I brought you a problem, we never focused on the problem. We focused on solutions. We focused on how it would not affect us, but also bring a solution. With your healthcare background, with your municipal leadership background, with your background as a family caregiver, person with kids, raising kids, 1997 to almost 20 years of doing the public service, and God knows when you started your healthcare stuff. Tell me something, when we deal with challenges in our lives and life's spiraling more than ever and it's moving at a high rate, what would you let my listeners know of how to cope up with them, and you've said the 24-hour rule. I've written that in my book as well. And people have come to me as how useful that is. But what would be the first 3 things that you would tell people who are listening?
Well, first, listen. Mm-hmm. Second is, as you sit there to assess the situation, whether it's my kids bringing me a problem that they might be having, or whether it's council members that are bringing a problem, that the answer has to be within. The answer can't necessarily be that I tell you, Maleeha, you need to do this. It's, Maleeha, why do you need to do this? And what will that impact be at the end of the day? But ultimately, it's, even where you have to try to give a difference of opinion, but also a different lens as to how you're looking at a situation. And quite frequently, it's, for myself as well, too, I have people who are outside the political world and outside the healthcare world who I lean into, and they are a resource. And it's not one where they necessarily understand what our situation is or the problem, but they're listening to, it's like, okay, now when you're assessing the problem or assessing the question, what are the outcomes and what are the impacts? But the other side of things too as well is I look at, when we're moving forward towards solutions are also found by bringing people together.
Yes.
because everybody has a difference of opinion, sure. But ultimately, as you look to navigate a problem and assessing, okay, here's the problem, here's how we need to move forward with it, and how can you contribute into that solution? It's always solution based. And we all too often tend to go back to, well, this just isn't fair. We don't look at going to the yes, we look to going to the no. And we need to more often than not look at that yes. Now, the yes need not necessarily be where it is towards what you want as a yes, but it becomes as a compromise as well too. And it's looking for solutions. All too often, it's about the problem and not the solution that is presented when we look at things. And that's everything. That's all within life. It's like, oh, this isn't fair. And it's like, okay, well, why isn't it fair? How did you react? How did you action this? How did you work with this? And what questions did you ask?
That's true. So here's what is coming out of this difference of opinion. Seems like we've had in this world, or in the world that we live in, there are many difference of opinion. How would you, I know how I deal with it. Sometimes it's all over the landscape of things, but how would you let our listeners know difference of opinion is very common?
100%.
And it's good to have it sometimes.
It is, and very much so. And it's like, even take a look at what's coming across with social media right now. And it's like that difference of opinion is one without insight. It is one without knowledge and one without taking a look fully at what is the background of it, and understanding that. I find quite often in my response, whether it's on social media, it's putting the fact there. And you can't dispute the facts. But difference of opinion is then if it's about a debate, if it's about just a discussion, again, it goes back to that listening and then moving forward of, okay, how can we deal with this and work with this differently? Or sometimes the answer is a no, and the difference of opinion has to exist. But you got to walk away from that. You have to respect it, and you have to look at what, it's not just about yourself, right? It's about what's the greater good. It's about those around you, and how one, as an elected official, we have an impact into everything that happens around us. And if you can confidently say, I voted this way or I voted that way based on these reasons, that confidence and that assurance is one that you should be able to walk away. And it's like, you know what, Maleeha, I understand why you voted the way you did, because I respect your opinion. But it's making sure that you have brought to the table the full confidence of knowing the information that should be in front of you.
That's true. When we are at these roles in our life, whether it's our political role, our municipal service role, healthcare roles, parenting roles, leadership is everywhere, regardless of wherever you are.
Yeah.
I feel that even if you're working at a very honorable job, I feel at serving just coffee as well, which can be very hard in my opinion, there's leadership in that as well.
100%.
So how would you define it? What would be your definition if you were to write about it?
So if I was to define myself and my leadership style, it is about being there for people. It is about, I don't know if you've ever read the book Malcolm Gladwell, The Tipping Point.
No, but I've read one of his other books.
So The Tipping Point is about connecting people, connecting dots. And I think that for myself, it's finding solutions and working to bringing people together. And like even just today, I just came here from a meeting with a new entrepreneur within our community. It's like, well, let me open some doors for you.
Absolutely.
And it's like it's opening doors to decisions too. So when you come in, or any of the other council members come in, it is, did you read the report? Did you do this? Did you speak to this person? Did you take a look at what had happened in the past? It's about leading you to answers, but also leading you to your answer. And the leadership, it's not one of the telling, it's the one of the guiding.
Yeah, that's absolutely. I believe that the biggest misconception of local government, what would it be? In my opinion, I feel that people feel that these are very powerful positions, and I don't see the power in here. What would you think about it?
So we have a position where we impact people every single day in when we make the decisions. But ultimately, and it's like we just saw that just this past week, it's like the decisions that we end up making are sometimes a fallout of what has been made at different levels of government. Sometimes in our decisions, it's like we have no decision because that's the direction that we have to follow, because whether it's provincial policy or federal policy. But as a whole, like we're limited to the impact of what we have as municipal councillors. It's one that we need to know our boundaries, and we need to be able to explain that. And the stats are that 5% of the population even understand what municipal politics is about. And even of that 5%, it is like 2% of that 5% who has even a true focus into what's happening within our community. And, that also leads to, it's like when we take a look at the statistics of when we look at those who showed up to vote in a municipal election, it's 2 out of 10. So it's basically 20% that show up to vote. And our decisions do impact people every day in the sense of whether it's your fire, your police, your ambulance, from the clearing of your roads to establishing of our communities. But some of the stuff that comes through, especially through our mayor and council office and the questions that are being asked, it's like, that's not our jurisdiction. We have no oversight over that. And when you give that answer, it's like, well, why don't you? And it's like, because those are the rules. This is like our limitation. Can I open a door for you? Can I lead you to who has the decision? I can do that. But in some of the stuff that we end up doing, it's like, we need to understand, and while we try to educate the general community, I think that's been an ongoing issue for years, that just the understanding's not there.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's what I feel, that we deal with a lot of misconceptions. We deal with a lot of criticism as well.
Yep.
And we have that political sense to, I wouldn't say deal with it, but answer to those. And I know you and I and a lot of our colleagues do that. We are maybe some days door openers to other avenues for people to look at. So considering this, during criticism, difficulty leading a public life, leading the town that you are doing since, 20 years, but more particularly 4 years right now, how do you remain grounded? You said the 24-hour rule. You said listening.
So my family is my grounding. I spend a lot of time, not only just in person, but on the phone, talking to my kids, talking to my partner, Steve, but also to the time with my grandkids. The time with grandkids is a time out for me. And it's an opportunity, and they remind me. It's if I'm on the phone, they remind me. It's like, it's our time, and it's like, yeah, it is your time. So I need to spend that time. But I've also just recently and it was just by fluke that in the summertime, 2 years ago, I started to learn to sail.
Oh, nice.
So it's a group of ladies, and we go on Tuesday or Wednesday nights, and down at on Lake Ontario, and we do race, and we're building up for our summer time for that. And when you're out on the water, there's no motor, it's just sails, but you also don't have your phone because you're working, and I work the ropes in the and hopefully this year I can start with the helming. But it's a great opportunity to just really check out, and all you have is just the water, the wind, and there's 3 of us on the boat, and concentrating on that.
Well, that's wonderful. See, that's the way of let out. That's beautiful, actually. That is actually beautiful. There are many phone calls I have received in the past few days, and people are considering to run municipally, which is beautiful, actually. I think that's great. I know I decided to run 9 years ago, and it was a very difficult decision, and I've decided to run many times and not decided to run many times in the past as well. What would you leave a women specific of women considering to run, young women considering to run?
So, and I've met with a number of different individuals who are considering as well too. My first question to them: why are you running? And no answer is a wrong answer, but why are you running? Why are you reaching out to me and wanting to have this conversation? And what is inspiring you to want to serve your community? Because it's a privilege. It is a true privilege to serve your community. But ultimately, all of us have different reasons why. And, but knowing that you need to know your community, and like each one of us within our community, it's a different perspective of what we actually physically see. But when you are giving that consideration, it's the why. Do you have the support from your family? Have you reached out to friends? Have you shared with friends that you are giving consideration? When did you start thinking about this? Because when you go in, as you know, and when you're in, you're all in. And some of the impacts can be a negative impact, which we have been experiencing. But ultimately, I'm going to take the silver lining out of everything. I just walked in here to this podcast. There was a young lady who was walking out of one of the businesses here. And she's like, "You inspire me." And that is a business person in our downtown. And you have my full support. Please stand up for the women and keep doing what you're doing. And that is so reassuring to hear that from a community member and someone who is trying to make their ends meet as well too. And just giving you that confidence that, we are doing the right thing.
Yeah. If you can sleep better in the night, I believe that we are. And I know I am. And I truly believe in that. I know that I've got a signal of wrapping up soon. I'm going to ask you some very important questions, which mean a lot to me. And I know that my listeners want to hear this. What worries you most about our future, specifically in our community here?
I worry about that, as we look at ourselves as decision makers, that we don't look at the reflection of a decision being upon how it benefits oneself, but more about the benefit of the greater good, the bigger picture. I look at, I'm a mother of 3, and the future is for them to be a part of this community, and a grandmother. And as we're making decisions, that we're ensuring that we're doing this for the bigger picture, and that is for our community. I worry about the impact of what other levels of government can end up having onto our local government as well too. But the one thing, and again, conversation had with a resident today, is about knowing that with our council particularly, Whitby's a great place.
Yeah, it is.
And the narrative that is being created is one that, it's just a loud voice. It's not reflective as to who we are as a community. Yeah. We're an accepting community. We are a community that I moved here in 1993, and we were at 60,000 residents, and now we're 151,000. But we are still a small community, which is very receptive to your neighbors and the support. And we need to carry that forward and get rid of the negative narrative and know that Whitby is a great place for all of us to live, to bring up our children, our grandchildren. And that white noise that's out there, it needs to go away.
Absolutely. Here's what it is. It was very interesting that you had mentioned that someone had that conversation with you. I got pulled away by another counselor just yesterday from another town. And he told me that he took pride in Whitby. And there is a lot of pride because when I called Whitby my home in 2006, I fell in love. I fell in love with the downtown. I fell in love with the water, our water space, our lighthouse, and everything that it has. Mm-hmm. And the improvements that this council or our collective improvement is the improvement at the row house. That's going to be one of the most landmark, I believe, going forward, and many, many other things in the market style food bank. There is so much. I mean, you have it on your fingertips, but the work that we are doing collectively is tremendous. And I know that you sometimes stay up in the night because you want to just keep on going. And I know that. So I know that that matters the most to you. What would you want to say about it?
So as we're preparing for this municipal election, and when you reflect, and it's reflection right now, and you reflect on the past 4 years, and we take a look at, it's like even sharing of what did we accomplish, because that's a question that people will ask us. So what did we accomplish? And it's a we, not an I, it's a we. Yeah. And it's from day one where collectively we came together with staff when we created that community strategic plan, which we haven't had in 20 years. Yeah. So it's like a checklist, and it's a checklist of 62 items. And I get compliments about this all the time from businesses, community members, from outside municipalities of like, how did you do that? And it's because it was a we. We need to be celebrating it more. When we take a look at what was in the last campaign, the discussion about the waterfront, I actually got a lot of flack from individuals about why would you want to do something with the waterfront? Well, look at what we're pulling together. Like it's like you talk about the row house, but let's also talk about Shirley Scott Park and what's going to be put into place there. Let's talk about Town Brewery and the Pump House, which is a home run. And even further to that, it's like, we're maintaining the green space and the activation of what is happening with the people coming together at our waterfront. And it's that beacon of light and the painting that you did. And it's that showcasing of our lighthouse. That lighthouse is a directional tool that is used for us. And it's kind of symbolic because when I'm sailing back and I'm looking for my direction, it's the lighthouse to bring me direction in. But as a whole, 62 action items. And the things that we are bringing together, the businesses that we are bringing to the community, the expansion of small businesses within our community. We are going to continue to work on our downtown. We are going to continue on making sure the most vulnerable in our community are supported. Yes, our success is the pantry program that's at Iroquois Sports Complex, and it's in conjunction, in partnership with Feed the Need. It's our partnerships that we have with our local food banks throughout each one of our places of worship as well, too. And it is also getting into our schools and supporting our schools, bringing community gardens into place. May 9th, we're going to have our Rotary. And this is something that we can celebrate with the Epic Day. Not only are they going to do the community garden in downtown at King Street Community Garden, but we're actually going to go over to the Muslim welfare residence, and where a bad situation is being put into a good situation. And we are building gardens to teach people how to self-sustain with a local community garden as well. And up at Town Hall and the community garden that's there, we're going to help with the rebuilding of that as well too. That's who we are, and that's what we are, and that's what we need to celebrate. And I know that was a coffee meeting yesterday morning. That was part of the coffee meeting, was the frustration of what our community is being made to be, but it's not truly what it is.
That is true. And that's the beauty of it. And I know we're wrapping up and I could go for an hour with you, but here's what it is. We're leaving a legacy of positivity, and I know that. There are many positives out there. We are there to eliminate hate in our community. We're there for our community. And I know you are. I know we are. Most of us are. I want you to tell our listeners that we in Whitby and Durham region are a community of positivity, and we're very proud of it. And we want to talk about our resilience. We are a very tough community when it comes to bouncing back, when it comes to helping each other, when it comes to kindness and compassion. And I know that, and I have full faith in our community. And I'm going to say this again and again. I have full faith in our community that they will see the best that is coming out and where it's coming out and who are being part of a positive drive. So what would you say about that? And with this, we will end this.
So that's quite an easy one to answer. And there are many individuals within our community who are silent but do so much. Let's take a look at our local food banks and all the work that comes together with all the volunteers who do that. Let's look at what is happening when we even walk within our downtowns and talking to our local business owners. And yes, it is tough times for a lot of our small businesses, but we step up and we give support. When we take a look at a lot of our non-for-profits and the work that they're doing, and I'm having another roundtable with our non-for-profits, but they come together collectively to support where they need to support. And yesterday, McHappy Day, look at all the people that came out to support McHappy Day within our local community. Like I said, when I moved here in 1993, and it was just over 60,000 people, and to today, that feeling of that town feeling and that support for each other, it is there. And I do think that quite frequently when you walk down the street, it's a hello, it's a support. And when the support is needed, Whitby steps up, and I can attest to that. Just at this past Christmas, just before Christmas in November, December time period, I host this regular event called the Cozy Toes. And Cozy Toes is just collecting socks. Socks to go into our food banks, but socks also to go into our shelters and into our ambulances and into our police cruisers as well too. You think the simplest thing is socks is like irrelevant, but it's the most important thing next to the hats, the gloves, and the coats. But the St. John's Evangelist School, there was a bin set up at our local library, and the teachers had the kids walk over from the school and fill this bin. Like, I had so many socks show up for this whole campaign, and we will continue that campaign. And it's because of our small businesses in our community that it comes together, but it's the people of our community that make it come together. And I have so much faith within our community as to who they are and what they are and how people will step up. And we saw that just recently with women coming together to support women as well too.
We saw that. Yeah. And I have full faith in our community. Mayor Roy, I really appreciate your leadership. I appreciate your kindness, your steadfastness into bringing positivity. And I know that you did that with me many years ago when I was at a cusp of going through something with another person. I couldn't understand what is happening. And you really brought leadership in it. And you didn't bash the other person. You didn't say anything negative, but you actually said, Maleeha, let's think it over. Let's find you the tools to get better. And this is the reason I put my podcast forward, is I want to give a reflection of the people that I hang out with almost daily, weekly, and monthly. And I want people to hear what a beautiful community we have. Why don't we fill it up with kindness and compassion and talk about the beauty in life? So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much, Mayor Roy. This episode will air in June. I hope that you leave a comment for me, because I am learning with your feedback. Thank you so much.
Thank you.